Okay. Hopefully you can see me. And hopefully you can hear me well. I'm also going to be watching my stream too, just to make sure everything's okay. Okay. All right. I wish I could see the chat in OBS Studio, because it's really annoying, like having to switch between desktops just to make sure everything's okay. Just gonna wait a little bit longer just to make sure some more people come in. Okay. Hopefully the video quality is nice. Hopefully the audio as well. I wish I could see the chat in here. I don't know how. Let's see. Nope. All right. We got 3 people watching. That's cool. I hope I'm speaking loud enough. I always tend to speak really low, low volume, you know. Hopefully I'm speaking loud enough. So we got 2 people watching right now. I don't know if one of them is me. I hope not. It's actually the first time I'm streaming on YouTube, so I don't know. Alright, we'll wait like 4 more minutes just to see if someone else comes in. Yeah. If someone could tell me how to like put the chat in here so that I could see like the chat in OBS instead of like having to open Chrome, and you know, it's kind of like bad for the CPU. I want to make sure that I have as much space for my CPU to work like properly as possible. So, and Chrome's does not really help, I think. So yeah, I know I can do it. I know I can see the chat in here, but I just don't know how. Cause like I once streamed on Twitch and I could see the chat somewhere. I just don't know where. So is it here, like scene sources? Sources maybe? Nope. What's up, man? How you doing? I'm just trying to understand. Well, it's fine, I guess. Super fine. Hello, everyone. Awesome to have you all here. Please tell me if I'm like speaking really in a really low volume. Tell me if you cannot understand me. Tell me if the audio is like messed up or something. I'm gonna try to take a look at the chat here and there. But yeah, I don't know if like you can tell me. I wish I could put like the chat in here in OBS Studio, but well, it's fine if I can't. Hello, hello, hello everyone. I agree, man. I agree, Lokran. Awesome track. And Bluestone has a lot of the credit in this one. It's awesome to see that the chat is active. Pretty cool. Alright, that's cool. Alright, I say we should start then. I mean, we got some good viewers in here. So I say we start. I don't want to make this too long as well because, well, I'm going to show you, I've got like a bunch of projects. And for like one project, for like one song, I don't know why. I guess it's just like for organization and all that, mixing and mastering. I tend to like divide everything into a lot of projects. But yeah. All right. Let's start then. It's pretty nice. I know you can see my stats, but I guess it's fine. Like, I guess it's fine. All right, like we got 10 minutes going on. So my mic's falling down. So I think we should start. Well, we're already 10 minutes in, so I think we should start. So let's start. Let's start then. All right. So with this song, I first started with the vocals. Let's just make a test.
Excuse me.
Like I just played it so that you can tell me if you heard it like decently or not. I hope you did. There's a little bit of a delay in the chat, so I don't know how long it takes for you to like see it, but I think it's 1 minute. I mean, I don't want to load my CPU, so I don't want to overload the CPU, so yeah. All right, then let's start. We got this. So I first started, like, I have 3 different templates, and one of them is like for vocal processing. And what I did here, it's actually pretty simple, and it turned out to be quite interesting. What I did in here is, like, I have this sample in here.
Excuse me. Excuse me. Excuse me.
Which is from Splice, by the way.
Excuse me. Did I walk into your path? Did I stop your heart from beating? Take away your breath.
I mean, pretty good one. It did not have any like reverb in that. So
excuse me.
This is like the dry, I think.
Excuse me.
Which already like has some reverb. What I did is I did not use this auto pitch. I don't even know why it's here. I probably tried doing something with it. I turned out not necessary, I guess. I just added some like reverb. This preset, this template that I created like for vocals is this is something that I did so that it's like easier to process my vocals, and all of these plugins are like a preset. You know, when recording, I tend to use all of these plugins, which is like a start. It's just like a starter for, you know, for example, when the singer is like singing, I don't want the singer to listen to it like completely dry, because usually the singer loses quite motivation, loses like a lot of confidence when they hear like dry. It's quite normal that when you sing and you hear yourself and you're like, oh man, this is really bad, and I don't want that to happen. So I kind of like tend to use all of these plugins just to kind of process the vocals a little bit. Of course, every vocal is different and every vocal needs a different processing, but that's what I usually do. But in this case, it's not necessary because the vocal's already processed. It even has like some reverb, so yeah, I just added some reverb. Like on the left side, I'm linking the vocals to all of these like reverb buses and delays as well. On the left side, like full hard pen to the right as well, different reverbs. One of them is like a preset that I created, which is a patcher, just a normal reverb and EQing the reverb. On the left side, I mean, and on the right side, there's the Fruity Convolver, it's just a different reverb and some EQ. And in the middle, this is at 0%, so it's not being used.
Excuse me. Did I walk into?
And then there is delay. Which is playing every half a bar, I believe. Just like this delay.
Excuse me.
Yep.
Did I walk into your path?
But it's very subtle. It's very subtle, and it's also being EQ'd. And there is this limiter.
Excuse me.
So that when the vocal plays, the reverb is stuck down, and then when the vocal is not playing anymore, the reverb's cool.
Excuse me. Did I walk in?
And there's this like kind of slap delay. Every eight notes, I think that's the way you say it in English. Yeah, it's just basically the same as this one, and a little bit of EQ, but not playing like half a bar, but like 8 notes. And the limiter thing is the same for every reverb. This is it for like the processing. Alright, I can see that it's a bit louder than my voice. I can turn down the volume of my desktop audio. Thank you for the feedback, Carlos. Hopefully like this is fine.
Excuse me.
I'm gonna turn it like down like 5 dB, maybe 3.5 dB. The specifications of my laptop, man. Let's see. I got how do I computer setting, computer spec. How do you see it? I don't even know. Control panel. Computer spec. Man, I don't even know how to see like my computer specifications, but it's basically like a 16 gigabyte RAM laptop, an i7 Intel Core, and I think that's what you need to know, to be honest. I don't know about like the graphic thing, the graphic plate, the placa gráfica, that's how you say it in Portuguese. I don't know how to say it in English, so yeah. Well, it's 16 gigabytes of RAM and an Intel Core i7 of CPU. I don't really understand much about like PCs and all of those specifications. You know, I kind of went to YouTube to see like good computers for music production, and one of these was this one. This is an Asus VivoBook from Asus. Yeah, I mean, I haven't had any complaints. Once I had to ask for a new computer because the first one that arrived had some like hardware problems, I think, but the second one, which is this one, is going fine. And I have this computer, like I've been using this computer for like one year now, more or less. I think a bit less than that. I think it was 1 year, 1 or 2 years, and it's been doing fine. So yeah. All right, moving on. Hopefully everything's okay. What's up, Afonso? Happy to see you here, man. All right, and okay, moving on. So I have this lead vocal which I showed you. What I did is I resampled this vocal, and that's why I used the auto pitch, just to, I think, let's see. Yeah, so as you can see, this vocal here is hard pan to the left. This is the dry version.
Excuse me. Excuse me.
It's kind of weird sounding. I used some auto tune in E flat minor, I think. I used an EQ just to remove the low and the low mids as well, because I just want like the harshness of the highs in this case. And then I used the Foreman pitch to put it like 7 up. A little bit of compression, just like very, very subtle, and OTT at 20%. And then this is hard pan to the left, and then I have this one, which is basically the same, but the auto pitches, instead of going 7 up, it's going 7 down. Compression and some OTT as well. And then on this bus I have this pancake, which is like panning the vocal like really, really quickly, hard to left and right, as you can see. So if I put this at like, and that's why you have like this effect all together,
Excuse me.
because of like this pancake thing. Basically this is like, I mean, in a way it's kind of like it phases out the sound to a point where it's like, because it's rotating so quickly, it kind of creates phase problems, but like not in a really harsh way. And I think that was kind of my goal in here, because the sound itself is kind of harsh, like the vocals are kind of harsh, but that was my goal with like doing this. This is the first time I was doing it, so it's kind of like an experimentation. I have a resonator in here as well, resonating at the D4 frequency, square resonation, like on odd harmonics in this case, so to say. Yeah, that's it. And all together.
Excuse me. Did I walk into your path?
Alright, that's the vocals. Nothing much to say. We're gonna move on to the composition part of the projects. I'm gonna show you like all of the most important projects. I've got one project for sound design specifically. I could show you that. Tell me if you wanna know. Tell me if you want me to show you that project. But first of all, let's move on to the composition part. I'm gonna show you like the main points. It's a very long project. I think we would need like a lot of hours just to explain this, so I'm gonna try to be as quick as possible. In the meantime, let's take a look at the chat. Everything fine? Cool. Hope you guys are doing well. Hope the audio is well too. It's good too. Hope you guys are enjoying this, even though we didn't talk about much until now. Alright, this is the project. You can see it's a pretty big project. It has a lot of things going on. I don't even know where to start. I guess I'm gonna start from the top, which are the drums. So you can please expect a lot of lagging sometimes, because this is probably the heaviest project. You can see that's why I like tend to create different projects, because I do a lot of resampling and consolidation just to make sure that my CPU is not like crying for help. So yeah, this is like the composition project where I just put the ideas into like the project, where I just don't care about how many MIDIs are playing, like how many notes, what synths are here. And then on a later stage, when I'm like doing the mixing, then I consolidate everything into audio samples, and then I do the mixing there, because it's more heavy for it's less heavy for the CPU, and it's also good because, well, you can kind of hear everything more clearly without any lagging. So yeah, that's why I do it. And my projects tend to be quite big, so they tend to lag a lot after some point. So yeah, let's start with the drums. You'll probably notice some different things because this is not mixed. Make sure everything's okay. Do you make your own drum samples sometimes? Yes, man, I do. I do make my own drum samples. That's what I'm about to show you. Well, a lot of the times I use samples, but sometimes I use samples for layering, and that's why I kind of like create my own drums. You know what I mean? Like, I use other people's samples to layer on drums, and I end up like creating drums of mine, especially snares, not kicks. Kicks is just basically samples from other people. Yeah, mine does too sometimes. I've had situations where I really thought that my PC was about to die. Well, I guess you have to do what you have to do in order to achieve the results you want, yeah. And in this case, you know, I kind of have to sacrifice my PC a lot of time, like a lot. But, you know, like I said, it's been doing well. It's been doing quite well, the PC. So I haven't had any complaints. But yeah, really important to like consolidate things into audio if you see that the computer cannot take it anymore. If you can't even produce anymore because it's just lagging too much. Really important to do that. I mean, it's quite easy. It's just you go over here and just click Control Alt and then Enter. Sorry, Control Alt and then Control Alt C, and then you just consolidate everything into audio and then click Enter, and it's done. Pretty easy. But yeah, let me show you. First of all the snare, the build drums. I call it breakdown drums, even though it's build drums in this case. So let's start here. I'm not going to be playing everything because I guess you heard the song already. So I'm just going to be showing you specific parts of it. These are the build drums. And then in here, it's like the breakdown. It's like a drum fill. And then there are like laser sounds in between. All right, let's start with the kick. Pretty simple one. Just a normal kick. Hopefully you can hear it well. Hopefully it's not too low or too loud. Nothing going on with the kick. This is a kick. I'm going to show you the kick without the hi-hat. This is the normal kick. And there is a sidechain thing here. It's a volume shaper. This is how I sidechain because I kind of have problems with FL Studio when sidechaining. This is the volume shaper. I think it's this one. No, it's this one. This is the volume shaper. What I do usually in order to avoid any phase problems with the low end is I put a volume shaper in the kick. I see the wave information and I kind of shape the wave shaper in the kick bus and not on like the all instruments bus, so that I can make sure. And then I separate every frequency band. Like the lows are taking longer to come up, the mids are taking a bit less longer, and the highs are the ones that comes sooner. This is what I usually do. And then I just drag this onto the all instruments bus, which is where all instruments are, and I just put the kick here, and if I have to adjust it because it does not sound well, I just do it in here. That's what I usually do, and usually I don't have to adjust anything. Yeah, and the reason why you hear this hi-hat with the kick is as follows. I have a limiter here. It's this one, I think. Yeah. As you can see, this is not a limiter. In this case, it's doing compression, not limiting. And what is going on here is the threshold is really, really low. As you can see, it's at like minus 35 dB. And the attack and the release are also very quick. This will make your hi-hats kind of tremble, kind of sound distorted. If I were to put the release hub, you wouldn't hear that. You would hear like almost white noise. And if you put the release really low, if the release time is really, really low, you will hear this distortion. You'll hear this distortion from the kick. That's a really good way to make your kick even stronger, because you have more reinforcement in the high end, and therefore you end up like having a stronger kick. And it's really important to have stronger kicks in this case, especially in the build section, which is where you want to like create all of that strength, all of that tension, so that when the drop comes, you just can release all of the tension that you just created. Yeah. Without the hi-hat, you notice like the difference that it does. You know, the kick becomes even stronger, I guess. Moving on to the snares. I've got this snare. This is just a sample, I think. This starts in the first verse. It's being like just low passed. And I have this kick is here, this snare in here as well. Nope, nothing going on, to be honest. Like the snare is just some EQ, some basic EQ, some reverbs in some snares, like this one, for example. Have some reverb in here. Be careful with the pre-delay. You usually want some pre-delay in the snares just to keep the transients, you know, hearable. You know, just different types of snares which altogether create a cool combination. As you can see, not much mixing going on. This frequency shifter is just automating here. I did not, I decided to automate with the frequency shifter because with the frequency shifter, and this is something I learned from AU5, just like basically everything I learned in music production. Well, not everything, but a lot of it, mainly in my later, you know, knowledge research of music production. It was mostly AU5. It's that a frequency shifter, not only is it good for tuning snares to your music, to the note that you want to, like the bass frequency of the snare, it's also quite good to automation because it kind of keeps the transients trustworthy. It keeps the transients still there, as you can see. If I were to do it without this, if I were to put this in stretch mode, and if I were to like tune it, do it like with this automation of the channel pitch, when you put it up, you kind of start seeing like the distortion, and you kind of start noticing how much it loses some of the transients. Whereas when you use a frequency shifter, it does not happen. Yeah, that's why I did it. Moving on to the hi-hats. Not much going on, just in the first part of the build. These are samples. For hi-hats, I just use samples. I mean, not a lot of us have the privilege to have time to create your own hi-hats, so I guess you just have to use samples. These are cymatic samples, I think. I just chopped it up just to create like movement, and one of them is hard pen to the right, one of the others hard pen to the left, exactly, but not in here, in here. Yep. Sorry, I just opened Reef Machine for no reason. Sorry. Yeah, these are the built drums. Not much going on. There are no like top secret wonders of music production here. Just like simple stuff. Moving on to the drop drums. This is how I hope it does not lag. Yeah, as you can see, there are also some samples missing in here. That is so true. Yeah, that is something that I have been searching. Like, I even searched about the limited amount of mixer channels in FL Studio. That is something that I really hate as well, because it does not really make sense, does it? Like Ableton, for example, you don't have that limited amount of channels. I don't know why you do that. You do have it in FL Studio. Sometimes I mean, it's rare that I need to use more than these, but one time I needed to use more than that, and I couldn't because you only have 125, and it's kind of, you know, it's kind of sad sometimes. And to be honest, I've even thought about like switching to Ableton, but you know, I'm kind of happy with FL Studio, but yeah, that's a problem in here. And to be honest, I think they would update that in the newest version, like the 21. but that did not happen. I don't know why. But yeah, I guess not enough people need more than 125 mixer tracks, you know. But yeah, that's kind of, sometimes I needed it, but yeah, that's kind of disappointing. But yeah, anyway, moving on. Let's go to the drop drums. Alright, so the kick is the same as the other one. It's just in a different mixer track and processed differently in the mixing stage, not in this stage. There is the snare as well. This snare, I did it myself, and I can show you how. I'm gonna go to the, I hope I have the samples that I need for this snare. Let's go to the sound design project. I can show you how I did this snare. It's actually a pretty good one. It's based on, it's based of 3 samples, and each of the samples is like doing its own thing. Because, well, when doing snares, when making snares, it's really important that you avoid any phase problems. And I think I kind of did that. I kind of was able to avoid any phase problems with this. So let me see, where is it? There it is. This is the snare. Yeah. I think it's a bit too loud. Please tell me if it's a bit too loud. Thanks, man. Thank you so much. I do agree that dubstep is the best electronic music genre. I do agree. But I mean, can't really discuss taste, can you? Thank you so much for the comment. That I really appreciate it. All right, this is the snare that I did. It's based on 3 layers, and in some parts it even has more than that. But I'll show you the first one. So I did this in FL Studio 20, not in 21, and in 20 you kind of have this option, but in 21 you kind of have this option to like fade out the sound even better than these really limited options in the clicking. Just like you only have like 3 options. These 2, I don't even know what they are for. This is apparently just to remove the transient, to remove any clicks when the sound ends. But yeah. So what I did in this case is I used this declicking mode, the generic bleeding declicking mode, just to remove the transient of this. You can still hear the main frequency, the bass frequency of the snare. I would say that like the tonal frequency. Don't tell me which note it is. I cannot tell you. You have this snare, which is like the transient snare. And you have this one. This is like a bell sound that I created in Serum. You can check my tutorials in how to make metallic sounds in Serum. It's pretty useful for snares. And yeah, this is the first one. And one cool trick that you can do is you can, pick not a mexoscope, where it is, an oscilloscope. You can pick an oscilloscope, and you can see how it's doing. Like, you can reduce the time just to take a look at it in more detail, and you can see how it's doing. This is usually like the wave format that you want for a snare. If you are around this wave format, I think you're good to go. And that's what I usually do when creating snares. I just keep looking at the oscilloscope just to make sure that it's like it's looking pretty, even though people say that you should not trust visuals, you should trust your ears. But I guess that when your ears when sometimes you start getting quite fatigued, you're spending a lot of hours doing music, and it gets to a point where you cannot really trust your ears anymore. So yeah, I usually tend to use visual support as well in this case. That's what I did too. And for this second snare, it's basically the same with some extra samples. Oh, this is one thing that I learned from AU5 as well. This is called quanta noise, which is like bit crushed white noise. The way you can do this, let me see if I can show you. So let's see, you have this white noise, you just get yourself a bit crusher, sorry. I have a bit crusher, this one is free, this one. And let's see if I can redo this as well, once again. Just keep messing around with the options. Until you start getting like this kind of, this is white noise but stretched out in a way that you can even like hear the very small partials, the very small components of the white noise, to a point that it's not white noise anymore. It's just like, you know, the time of silence between each part is longer, so that's why you can kind of hear those clicks. And you have to EQ that as well, just to make sure that it's not too muddy. And that's what I did in this case. This is helpful to make like the snare stronger. It helps. You can kind of hear it. It's very subtle, but it really makes a difference. And then I added some white noise. It's just like fading out. Just automated the fade out, the volume of the white noise. That's it. That's it. This is how I did the snare. I'm gonna show you after that some sound design that I did for basses in here as well. But let's return to the composition. Hello Games Retro Gameplay. Hope you're doing well. Thoughts on deadmau5? Well, I don't know. I haven't really been following like the tea. I don't know if there's any tea, to be honest. But what's going on actually? I don't know. Like I used to watch some of his live streams here and there. His opinions. I think he's a very honest person. He's not really afraid to say what he has to say. It's kind of good for him, I guess. But yeah, tell me the tea. Tell me what's going on, because I really don't know what you mean. I really don't know what you mean. I know he had a beef with Skrillex once. I don't really know why. I don't really know what happened, but yeah. All right. If you mean like about his production skills, I mean, I think he's awesome. He's a legend. He's like one of the best producers out there. That's for sure. I mean, that there is no discussing that, I think. I mean, that's my opinion. But yeah. So we're gonna move on to these are the vocals. Just hold on a second. It's lagging a little bit. Well, as you can see, there's not much going on. I just showed you the vocal processing project. Not much going on, just like some chop ups here and there. And then I have some effects with the vocals that I did in Serum. This one I did in Serum. Which I am not using here. I don't know where it went. But I'm using something interesting that I did in Serum. I just don't know where it is. Okay, I think the sample just disappeared. I guess I just changed the sample and it's not here anymore. But if you listen to the song, you can see that in the beginning of the drop there is like a small, just a very small detail in the vocal, which is this part, which I used. I did the technique in Serum, which I have in one of my music production videos that you can check out. I just basically created a robotic voice with this sample in Serum. But yeah, in the vocal section you really don't have much going on. There is this meat that she says, which is sometimes layered with the snare. Yep, I mean, a lot of resonance. Okay, let's move on to the leads. There's not much in the vocal sections. You can see this just chopped up some parts here and there. Just chopped up some parts here and there. Yep. Alright, moving on to the leads, which are not really leads, just some simple plugs. Let's go. Let's see. This is the Alright, so this is a marimba that I resampled to. This is a marimba from a chime sample pack that I resampled into the note C so that it's easier to control in MIDI. I just put this marimba to this note C. I'm not sure if this is the note C. Let's see if it is. Hopefully it is. Otherwise, what I'm saying is just completely fake. It is. Thank God. Okay. I just resampled this into the note C so that it's easier to play in the sampler. And as you can see, I just played some notes in the piano keyboard. These are just octaves, I think. Yeah. D, 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 D7, D6, D5. Yeah. For the second lead, this is the same sample, I think. Yeah, it's just literally the same sample but processed in a different way. This has a lot of reverb, as you can see, super massive. I don't have the paid Valhalla plugin, although I wish I could. I just don't have the funds for that right now. Reverb, some parametric EQ. I don't even know. This is a crazy EQ. What is going on here? Oh, just to bring out some of the highs. Some distortion, sine distortion, OTT, and some imager, because I think it was a little bit too wide, so I just used this to make it a bit more mono. Second one, simple, not much going on. Resampled sound from this one. This is the same marimba, not much. So in the lead section, as you can see, very, very simple stuff going on here. Not much to see. Let's move on to the effects. A lot of effects in here. Some of them, I don't even know where they are anymore. I don't know what this was. Oh, you mean music-wise, man? I'm sorry. Yeah, I really like it. I like his songs. I really don't listen to deadmau5 a lot, to be honest. The last one I heard was with a girl. I'm just trying to. I don't know. To be honest, I don't know. I just don't listen to a lot of deadmau5, if you want me to be quite honest. I like his stuff. When I listen to it, I find production-wise and composition-wise pretty amazing. Not gonna lie, but I really don't follow the guy a lot. I really don't. I used to play his songs on DJ Hero, though. They were pretty cool. Hello. Hello, Carla. Hello, Susanna. Hope you're doing well. Hello, Leo. Hope you're doing well. All right, let's move on. Let's move on to the effects part. All right. All right. It's normal. You please expect to hear some lagging here and there. Like I said, my CPU, you know, it's just the streaming software, Google Chrome open as well. Just a lot of stuff going on. All right, let's go to the white noise section first of all. Just stretch samples. This is in Stretch Pro mode. And something is going on here. I don't know what exactly anymore. It's a serum. All right, this is being COM filtered. I'm automating the cutoff of the filter in COM filter mode, just to bring out those highs a little bit, just to not, you know, just to kind of make the sound a little bit more high quality than it was. This is a Kashmir sample from a free sample pack. Yep. And I don't exactly know what this is doing. This is just volume automation. Second sound. This is just some resampled sound that I did. Don't ask me what exactly. I don't know anymore. Some more white noise samples. These are either white noise. These are either samples from sample packs or samples that I just saved from my previous projects. I mean, it's just white noise. What else can I say about white noise? It's just in itself alone, it sounds weird, but altogether with the track, it sounds cool. Yeah. Let's move on. Impact. Some impacts. Impacts are like kind of a difficult thing to mix because of the low end information. You really have to be careful with the low end. I think there's only one sound that has low end, exactly this one. Once again, samples. Foley. Oh, yeah, this was from a sound design session that I did. In Serum, I believe. I was just playing around with some settings and I came up with this cool sound. It looks like a computer, an alien computer loading or something like that. I don't know. All right, let's see what I did in here. Resonator, Valhalla, snap heap. Oh, this snap heap is like doing this cool up and down automation thing, volume automation thing. Without it, just a normal sweep up. What this is doing is I just assigned LFO1 to the gain. If you don't know Snap Heap, it's a pretty cool plugin. I actually had the luck to get this for free, I think. You have all of these plugins inside of Snap Heap. This Snap Heap is like the mashup plugin, and then you have all of these sub plugins that you can put all together, like into Snap Heap. And what I did is just I I just put a gain like plugin in here, and I automated LFO1 to the volume, well, to the gain. When doing this, be careful, because what it happens is if you just automate it at 0 dB, it's gonna get a little bit too high in volume. It's gonna get a little bit too loud. So make sure to put it a little lower in volume. I wish I could tell you what this sample is, but I don't know anymore. I think this was like a laser thing. You can even notice like the empty spot in here. Yeah, it was some kind of like laser sample, I think. One more sample. This was like sound design things that I do like when I don't have anything else to do. I just sound design weird things, and then I end up using it in my projects. Going up to the tonal effects, it's this one. This is a pretty cool effect, and that's where I want to go back to my sound design project. Hopefully it's still there. In the meantime, let's look at the... Hope you enjoyed yourself, man. Thank you so much. Thank you. That means a lot. Hope there are no problems with the... That is true. I could have done it in growth speed, but I think my growth speed is the demo version, which means that I would have to consolidate it, resample that. So yeah, I mean, but I could have done it in growth speed. I have to start using FL Studio stock plugins a little bit more. I want to start getting fluent in Harmor and Harmless and all those plugins, really, because they are pretty cool, especially for color base. But yeah, that's right. I could have done it in growth speed. All right, let's see. I hope I have this in here still. I hope I have this in here. Where is it? It's probably this one. Let's see what it is. No. Oh, but this is cool to show as well. This is the serum thing that I was talking about. Yep. As you can see, I just assigned LFO3 to this LH12 filter, which is a low pass and a high pass, a low pass and a high pass filter at the same time. And I just turned up the resonance to the full, and I'm messing around with the cutoff and the frequency, which is also a cutoff, but of the low pass, of the low pass, yeah. And the wavetable I'm using is this 12 order harmonic gaps, which is from AU5, I think. Some distortion, phaser, chorus, distortion, tube distortion, phaser, chorus, some equalizer, which is also being automated by LFO3, some compression, multiband, reverb, and some delay. All right, let's see if I find it. All right, onto the cool stuff. This is a growl bass that I did in Serum once again. It seems like I don't use any other plugin except for Serum, which is true. I use Vital sometimes, I use Harmor sometimes, but most of my sound design is like Serum and resampling, that's all. This is what I used for that part, as you can see, but that part is a little bit more like filtered and also reverb. And the plugin that I used is, I forgot the name of the plugin. This is a plugin from, I wish I could tell you which one it is, but I don't know where it is anymore, to be honest. It's a pretty heavy plugin. It's really heavy on the CPU. Let's see if I find it. I'm not going to spend too long in this. If I don't find it, I'll just skip it. But this plugin basically did everything. It's this one, movement. Here it is. This movement plugin is pretty cool. Every preset is different, just gives you different types of sounds, like plucking and all of that. Just lagging a little bit, sorry for that. In the meantime, hello Tomasz, hope you're doing well. We already have 63 views, that's pretty cool. That's awesome. I was expecting less people, I'm not gonna lie. That is dope. My FL Studio just crashed. Let's close the program. Yeah, you know, basically what I did is I used this movement plugin. I was just going through the presets, and I found this one cool preset that makes this sound awesome for like ambience and that, which is amazing. It's like a growly ambience, which is exactly what I wanted. So I just recorded it, saved it, and used it in my song. Let's go back to the composition. I apologize if I'm being like really unspecific, because I did this project quite a while ago. It's been a couple of months, so I forgot a lot of it. I forgot what sounds do what in most of the time, so yeah. If I'm being too unspecific, I'm sorry for that, but I hope I'm being helpful. As you can see, you know, I guess dubstep music is a lot about layering and adding a lot of stuff. Even if you can't hear it, makes a difference, but just don't overdo it. I mean, that's the point. Just don't overdo it. This is my favorite sound of the whole song. Vocal effects. Just like resampling and messing around with the vocal. As you can see, a lot of reverb. And we are already 1 hour in. Time goes by really quickly. So yeah, vocals, not much going on, not much interesting things going on really. Just a lot of reverb, some auto pitch here and there. Equalizer, supermassive, for example. Tape stop for some of this. This is like in the beginning. Yep, just this tape stop effect. All right, let's move on to the to the basses, the bass section, which I believe is the biggest section. This and the effect section are the biggest sections. So yeah, let's move on to the basses. All right, before that, let me take a look at the chat. Yeah, movement's really sick. That's true. Movement is really sick. All right, checking something in here. Okay, all good. All right, this is the read space. Just 8 saw waves, unison 8. The macro is automating cutoff of the MG low. It's a low pass filter MG. So it's a replication of an analog low pass filter. Pretty good one, I must say. It's just automating the cutoff, some compression, and that's it. If you want to make it even more like spacey and that even more rich in the high end, you can just turn on multiband mode. I decided not to. Just this one. Automating the macro, that macro, the cutoff of the filter. This is the same, this is literally the same. The difference that I turned on multiband mode and I turned on the EQ just to bring up the highs. And I cut the very lows to layer it with the other sound. And altogether it sounds dope, in my opinion. And you really got to be careful with these respaces when you put the unison. When you just play a lot of saw waves all together, it can get kind of messy in the low end. So we gotta really make sure that the low end is mono and also not having phase problems. Serum's pretty good in that. Serum kind of does the job for you in this case. In that case, this is an 808. Let's see where it is. This is a sample. Nothing much going on. This is just an 808 sample, which you cannot hear. Pretty weird. And I just put some notes in here. And I did the typical slide of the 808. Yeah. And there's some distortion, sine wave distortion, OTT at 76%, some EQ and some patcher for reverb. And here and there you can kind of hear it. Yep, this song is it's a lot about details. It's a lot about adding different sounds here and there, just adding a lot of variety during the song. This was the point of this song. Take a look at the chat. Thank you. I have this template that is actually available to download. There was one video of mine explained the template. This keeps on being updated, so probably this one is a little bit different than the one I have there. I can update the drive file, the drive link, but this is a template which is available for you to download on my YouTube channel. I think the name of the video is something like "You need to organize your tracks" or something like that. Just click there and you'll find the drive link to download the template if you want. Thank you, Leo. Really appreciate it. All right, let's move on to the drop. That's it. This is the drop. These are the bases of the drop. It's a lot of things. I'm going to try to be as quick as possible. As you can see, what I do in my sound design is I layer a lot of samples from other sample packs and I create my own sounds. In this case, there is this bass layer from AU5. This is an awesome sound. This is just the perfect sound, bass sound to layer with stuff. Just amazing. I use it every time. And then I have this, which is actually vital. Surprisingly so, this is vital. I created this patcher. Is it vital? Yeah, it is vital. Here it is. This is actually a layer of sounds. I did this patcher. It's just different synths. Actually, two synths. This is Serum and Vital, and they all together create this one sound. First of all, this Vital preset, this Vital patch that I created based on AU5. If you listen to Alien Weapon if you listen to his song called Alien Weapon, you'll find a very similar sound. The difference that sound is even bigger and, well, in my opinion, even more awesome. But this one is pretty cool. I think I did a good job in this one. So this is basically just doing an inharmonic stretch in the unison. Sorry, an inharmonic stretch. And I'm changing the format as well just to keep it in tune. If I were to change this a little bit, it's just completely different, even though that one's really cool. So you gotta really be careful in this one, just to make sure that it's in tune. This is a basic shapes wavetable. This is a sine wave, I think. Yep. And the level is also being modulated by this LFO, I believe. Just to create that tremble, very, very subtle, but it's there, I swear. And this macro is just modulating the level 2, the inharmonic stretch, and the form and pitching, I think. When it comes to effects, just distortion, bit crush, and multiband compression. That's it. And then there is the second sound. Right, let me see if I can just show you this one. This is just the sound from Vital with some OTT, EQ, just to emphasize some of the notes that I wanted to emphasize, reverb, pretty balanced and all that. And then there is the Serum, which is just a sine wave being multiband compressed, and that's it. Just to layer with this sound. I think I EQ'd the very low just to put a clean sub under that, and I added some distortion as well, hard clip distortion, EQ limiting, just to make the sound louder and bigger, thicker, and that's it. Oh, and there are other layers as well with this sound. Well, when doing this, I thought that this sound was really lacking. Was lacking some of the low mids. So I just added this. And what this sound does as well, it kind of creates this vowel-y effect, which makes the sound like someone is doing like this growl thing, like yoy or something like that. If you remove it, it's less strong, and that growl aspect of the sound, it kind of disappears. So yeah, I just wanted to add it. This was some more resampling that I did as well. I don't know how I created this sound. I have this in my sound design project. Let's see. Thanks. Thanks a lot for that. Sometimes I even feel like I tend to overdo things, but I really think that in this track I was able to balance like all of these sounds, like just to not make it too much and not make it too boring as well, I guess. Let's see. Just some more resampling. Okay, this is guess what? This is a Serum. Oh, yeah, this is a preset that I did quite a while ago. I think I did this when I was starting music production, and I just messed around with this preset. And what I did, I think I just resampled it. And I resampled it twice, and I created this kind of house effect, which is like you just put one sample a little bit forward, and you kind of have like this spacey. If you put it in the middle, you're gonna get phase problems very likely if you put this to mono. Not in this case, surprisingly so, but what I wanted to do is just like I wanted to make this wider, just to fill out that space in the image. In the image spectrum. Let's go back to the composition. Hope you're enjoying, guys. If there are any problems with the sound, please let me know. Hope everything's okay. Hope you can hear me and FL Studio decently as well. How many people? Alright, got 2 viewers right now. That's not bad. I mean, that's cool. 66 views altogether. That's awesome as well. The comment section is blowing. Well, I was not expecting this. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for all the messages and all the comments. That's really amazing. All right, let's move on. Back on the project. Well, I don't know what else can I show you in this bass section. Well, in this bass section there are also samples that are not basses, like this one, this clicky thing. This was another sound design thing that I was doing. It's called sound design jams, where you're just jamming but with synths, and just instead of like jamming with a guitar or a piano, you're just like jamming with synth and creating like weird sounds. Alright. I'm trying to see what other sounds I can show you. Well, let's see in this growl bass section. Alright, this is once again just a sound design jam that I did. A lot of OTT, a lot of distortion. Just basically for layering and some extra ear candy. You know, what you do is just like you're just there messing around with the plugins, and you just like record a giant sample of 8 minutes. And what you do then when you want to use it in a song, it's pretty simple. Just go over the sample, see what sounds are the best and fit best in your song, what sounds are awesome too, and you just put it there. And if you have to do some extra processing, you do it. If not, just leave it there. And just not as difficult. You know, it's all about like being creative and you know, just not caring about like putting things even if they sound weird. And then there was like this sub bass, which is this one. I think there is something that it's probably not, I should not be doing this, but I think it works. I guess it works, which is this very quick envelope on the coarse pitch, which is like creating this really quick turn into how do I say it? Like the semitone. There is like this semitone, not even semitone. It's like the scent shift. There is a really quick scent shift in order to create like this attack. What I did is just like I enveloped the coarse pitch of the oscillator in such a quick way that it kind of creates like this lasery type sub bass. I also multiband compressed it and filtered it. MG low pass. And all together. Alright, I got some chords in here as well. Speaking about deadmau5, here's the sound that comes from him. What I did here is I tried to replicate his typical plucky, like chord plucky sound. And I think I did a pretty good job, just like a simple saw wave at unison at 9, hyperdimension, chorus, compression, multiband, MG low 18, filter, low pass filter, delay, and reverb. And what I did here is like I created these macros like blur to make it more blurry, to make it shorter, to remove the delay in the reverb. Yep, it's a pretty cool patch that I did. Pretty interesting. Just keeps playing the same chord. Yep. And it's once again for ear candy purposes as well. Alright, there is also this chord, these chords. This is one plugin from Spitfire Audio. This is a free plugin. This is just a soft piano preset. Some piano, like playing some chords in there. And then I processed it to a point that it sounds completely different. EQ, OTT, fresh air, just to bring out that attack, and some halftime, and that's what's doing that really slow and lo-fi type effect. Just a lot of reverb as well. And some imager to make it a little bit more mono, because sometimes it's just way too wide. So yeah, that's basically it. Oh, and there's one cool thing that I do in here as well, is when creating like tension towards the drop, what I usually do in my production is I tend to detune this. For example, in Serum, what I do is I go on detune, the unison detuning. I just automate this to a point that it sounds really like just like out of tune. This is just like to bring more tension and more like strangeness, weirdness to that pre-drop section, where it's just a moment where you don't know what's going on, what's going to happen after that, and you kind of really get confused. And I wanted to emphasize that sensation by just like making the coherent chords sound incoherent. Yeah, that's it. This is something that I had to resample because this is from Analog Lab, I think. The plugin's way too heavy. I forgot to show you the drum fills that I did it. What I did is just I selected a bunch of samples. And what I did is I went to the there is this plugin, which is I keep forgetting the names. It's FPC. What you do is just you drag a lot of samples onto here, and then you go over here and you click on, use this arpeggiator section where it just randomizes the samples, and you can just record what you are hearing, and then you get a bunch of like different drum fills, which is pretty cool. That's just what I did, and then I added a lot of saturation, OTT, compression, and all of that in order to make all of the sound coherent. Moving on to the main sound, which is this lasery thing. For that, let me check the comments. All right, all good. Cool. I'm not going to be showing you this here because there is a tutorial on my Instagram on how to do this. But yeah, this is the main sound. This is the main sound, which is like just basically Serum, like saw waves, unison, unison saw waves, just like stacked all together, compression, and then doing that trick on enveloping the coarse pitch like in really quick in order to create that attack, and then a lot of dispersers, and yeah, you just basically get this sound. And then this sample here, which is a laser that I created somewhere far, far away. I don't remember when I did this. Moving on to the ARPs. That unison technique, that unison detuning technique that I said, this is basically just a saw wave, just saw wave 16 units, saw wave at 16 units, and another saw wave 1 octave up. I'm just using Pancake to move it left to right. Yeah. Really simple. I wanted to replicate one sound from Ace Aura, from one song from Ace Aura, which is falling for you, or falling to you, something like that. I like that one. I like that sound, and I wanted to replicate it. I thought it was quite easy to do, to replicate it, so I kind of just came up with this. It's not the same, it's quite different, but it does the job. This is a preset from Serum, like those like presets that come with Serum, the stock presets. Just like a reverse sound. And then there are these pads. This is from a free, oh no, this is actually from Flex. Cool. Just those choir voices. And this is one technique that I also show in my music production videos on my YouTube channel, where you create like this ambience sample with just this basically a lot of sample layering with a lot of, this is with a fruity convolver being triggered by a white noise sample, and a lot of effects, vocoder and all of that, just a bunch of effects. I believe there was nothing else to show in here. Let's quickly move on to the individual mixing. Well, in this individual mixing project, I just basically fine-tuned the EQs and all of that. Yeah, just some basic fine-tuning, from just basically EQ fine-tuning, just removing some frequency, some muddy frequencies and all of that. It's a really important thing you have to do, even though it's kind of tedious, but it's important that you do it. And in this case, I just consolidated everything into audio so that it's less heavy on the CPU. And yeah, it's just basically some EQ, some removing the very low, sometimes removing some muddy frequencies. Just nothing new in here, just adding some extra automation, just fine-tuning these things. Yeah, basic but important stuff. And then I went to the group mixing, and in this group mixing part, what I do is just I just consolidate every section, like the chords, the saw chords, the basses, top basses. I just consolidate everything into one sample from each group, and that's where I do the main group mixing. I'm currently waiting for the project to load. Once again, hope you're enjoying, guys. Hope you are learning some things. If you have any feedback, if you have some things that you would like to tell me that I should be doing better, workflow related stuff, music production related stuff, all of that, tell me, because it's really important that I get feedback from you as well, just to make sure that we're on the same page. I don't know why, but this saturation knob plugin always takes a long time to load. It's a free plugin with just one knob, but still is the one that always takes the longest to load. I don't know why. Right, I believe that it is likely that my FL Studio just crashed. So I might have to restart it. Yep, I think my FL Studio just crashed. Gonna have to close it. That happens a lot of the time. Does it happen with other DAWs? I don't know. Feels like FL Studio is always the same. Even after tons and thousands of updates, it just keeps on doing that. And I don't think it's because of the PC, it's just because of the software itself. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, I don't know. But it keeps on doing that. I don't know why. It's pretty weird. Alright, it loaded. Because I was finding it weird because it's a less heavy project compared to the others, and this was the one that was taking the longest to load. Pretty weird. Okay. So as you can see, this is just some consolidation of all of the samples, all of those tiny details into one sample, one main group sample. As you can see, I have these growl basses, top basses, growl basses, yeah, all of those details in one. That's amazing, man. That's amazing. I would love to hear that, because I really want to start loading my projects faster. That would be amazing. Yeah, I am a college student. I'm actually finishing my master's soon in translation and linguistic services, or language services, in the University of Porto, Portugal. Gonna start my internship next semester. But yeah, I'm a college student. What about you? All right. Yeah, as you can see, this is like the main samples. Just didn't chopped up some just to avoid any peaks. And there are just basic EQ. The most evident stuff is like in the main groups. For example, the drop drums. I believe that sidechain is deactivated. Well, I thought it was the least heavy on the CPU. The project that was the least heavy on the CPU, but I guess it was not, because it's lagging even more now. Some ozone. So this is like for the whole drum section, drop drums. So what's going on here is just basic EQ, ozone, just to bring out the highs. What I usually do is I have a reference track close by. I'm not gonna play it because of copyright matters. I don't want to get copyrighted in my first stream on YouTube. This is a song from Virtual Riot, and I kept on switching between my track and his track and just seeing where I could improve, and just trying to replicate his mixing, I guess. So I added some ozone, some tape saturation from, this is a trick I learned from Kashmir actually, some compression. This compressor is awesome for drums, Kramer Pi. Some neutron elements, this is for transient shaping. Just to bring out those transients for drums, really important that they stand out. And some EQ, removing anything below 30 Hertz and anything above 16K. I did the same for the other drums as well, and for the drum fills I think too. For the vocals, what I do here is let me see where it is. I think it's in here. No, it's actually this. I just use this Uline multiband sidechain just to, when the vocals are played, then it triggers this plugin and basically it creates this like sidechain on the all instrument section, like the chords and all of that, and it makes it easier for you to understand what she's saying. Even though if I could have remixed this project, I would have put the vocals a little bit higher in volume. I guess it was a small mistake that I did here, that the vocals are a little bit too low in volume, but yeah, it's done. For the leads, nothing much going on, just some CLA vocals just to give more life to the leads, and some OTT at 18%. Mid-side EQ, simple stuff. For the effects, just some EQ, as you can see, some more EQ, mid-side EQ, just all of that. There was this peak controller because of the impact of the lows. When the impacts play, the lows get dug down on the top basses. Some more mixing on the top basses, ozone, to bring out the very highs. OTT, patcher. This is like, it's called the multiband processing. I just added some saturation on the high end, some overdrive on the high mids, and I made the very lows mono to avoid any phase problems. Add some ozone. For the growl basses, the same thing, I think. Nothing different. And for the sub, nothing much going on. And for the general mixing of the basses, some retro compression. This is a cool compressor. It's a 4030 retro compressor. This is just to kind of, how do I explain this? Just, I wanted to kind of bring out that like old school analog compression sound to the basses. Don't ask me why, but I usually like to do this. It kind of helps taming the highs in a very, very subtle way. It's not even being triggered every time, just when there are peaks here and there. It's kind of, it makes your peaks even a little bit softer, and it stops you from peaking as harshly as a digital, a non-replication of an analog compressor would not do, I guess. I don't know, it's probably in my head, but usually I like adding it just a very subtle thing. And some final EQ. For the chords, some OTT, EQ, mid-side EQ, just some more EQ. I mean, mixing's like, I don't know, 60-70% about EQ. And for these saw chords, this was already here, I think. This is like the disperser that I was talking to you about. This is an awesome plugin disperser. Some convolver, which is using that technique from Colorbase. It just this chord sample is triggering. The convolver is being triggered by this chord sample. I don't know what's the chord, to be honest. So you kind of get that melodic reverb, so to say. And I did some EQ. Some more EQ and some mid-side EQ. And for the basses, some more processing, CRA vocals, OTT, patcher, glue compressor, patcher, some more reverb. For the pads, just some same thing. I basically do the same mixing for chords, saw chords, arps and pads, and it's all about trial and error. And when I see that some plugins are not doing what I want to, just remove it. That's why I have all of these like main buses. Moving on to the mastering. This should be like the final product, and this should be like the version that it should be used on my mastering section. That's awesome, man. I would really love to study sound engineering. It seems to like really be a very cool discipline. Are you enjoying it? Like, do you think that it's being useful, or how is your experience so far? I've never like known someone that's studying sound engineering. So yeah, what do you think? Okay, I think I have to reload the project. Just a second. Okay. I guess I have to look for the sample. It's kind of weird, but I already took care of that. It's asking me to locate the sample again. I don't know why. Okay, that's good. Okay, ouch. I'm really sorry for that. I don't know what just happened. I don't know what just happened. Okay. I'm sorry for that. I don't know what happened. It was just like a problem in loading the project, but I think everything's okay now. Yeah, okay. As you can see, this is even louder. So I'm going to turn down the volume. Or I can do it in here. That's awesome. That's awesome to hear. That's pretty cool. Where are you studying? If I can ask. Alright, so for my mastering, I have this ozone, which is like doing some basic EQ, final EQ, some imager, and some equalizer. What I use here is this span EQ. This is a frequency analyzer which compares the reference track that was the same as I told you before, the one from Virtual Riot, and the main unmastered track from me, and it kind of gives you information, gives you frequency information as to where your frequencies, where there are lacking frequencies in comparison to the track that you're listening to. So it's very important that you choose a track that's similar to your song in this case. And this is just an analyzer, and based on that I just did some basic EQ, ducking down some frequencies here and there. And this imager, I usually do it as like this, just putting the very lows in mono and widening up the very highs and the mid highs as well, high mids. And I do this EQ as well, removing anything below 16K and anything above 30 Hertz. This soothe, I don't have soothe anymore. I had the trial version, but if I did, I would have used Sooth just to make sure, just to tame down certain frequencies, make sure it's clean. And then I'm doing compression, very small amounts of compression. The whole track's adding some extra compression, Kramer Pi, very like small amounts. It's like 1 dB of gain reduction. And this is adding some excitement. It's the exciter, it's just like saturation, I guess, in the low mids, high mids, and the highs. I turned off this mag EQ, I didn't need it. And I use this also to kind of, this is a match EQ, basically I just recorded, just captured the frequency information of the reference track, and I just use that frequency information into my track, and I into of 15% of amount. This has to be very, very small. These amounts have to be very, very small in mastering. These are just like the final details, just to make sure that your sound is as good as you can make it. And I added some final soft clipping just to put the sound higher in volume. I have this new clipper, which is a classic clipper from T-Rax, but when I did not, I used this soft clipper from Patcher in FL Studio from Yulin. And some final limiting in Ozone. EQ, final EQ, and some limiting, adding some extra dBs. The limiting mode is IRC 3 in pumping, just to kind of make the track a little bit bouncy, and the characters at 1.75 and the rest is at 0%, did not use it. And the dithering is at 24 bitrate depth, dither amount medium, noise shaping high, and that's it. And I just have this Yulin loudest meter just to make sure, just to see how loud the track is. There are some parts where the track's quite a little bit loud, but I tend to not overdo it because I don't know. I guess I have to learn a bit more about mastering, because sometimes when I try to make the tracks as loud as like famous music producers that put like the tracks at -5 LUFS, like super loud, super distorted, but they still sound good. When I try to do it, my tracks sound kind of like too distorted and white noisy, so I kind of have to understand what exactly I'm doing wrong. Yeah, that's basically it. Let's take a look at the chat. That's super cool. That's super cool. That is actually amazing, man. That's pretty dope. All right. I think we're going to end the stream here. I hope this was helpful. I hope this was helpful to you. It's almost 2 hours of stream duration. It's pretty long. I hope I was able to explain things clearly. Like I said, I did this quite a while ago, so some things I just forgot, and I did not remember how I did it. But yeah, let me know. I hope it was helpful once again. Thank you so much for the feedback. It was awesome. We had 75 views in just 2 hours. This is amazing. I have this data in here. I think you can see as well. I'm streaming the data, literally. We had 6 people watching at the same time at some points, which is pretty cool. Thank you so much for the support, guys. Thank you so much for the comments. I really appreciate the comments, all of you. And that's it. That's it. Thank you so much once again. Have a nice day. Have a nice evening, depending on where you are in the world. And I'll see you tomorrow.